So I try to imagine myself in other people's shoes, observing me or listening to me, or consuming aspects of my work. And I tried to imagine if I'm somebody suffering from borderline personality disorder, or let's say I'm in a relationship with somebody else who has it, I can't help but assume that upon discovering the last symptom, I wouldn't drop all of the books that I've been holding on to and really throw myself into trying to understand exactly how the last symptom guy did it and working to get the same results. That's what I would do if I were not me. But I guess if I were not me, but I still had the same tendencies. That would be my tendency. If I were in a state of desperation, nobody else is bringing me any positive results or anything, and I start hearing me talking about how, wow, yeah, I lived with it almost till I was 40, and it took me about 7 years, but I finally got it out, figured it out, eliminated it. I've been living for years now without it. That would get my attention. I would be focused on the guy who did it, on the guy who was once in my same situation and who now was not. So think about that. When I start talking about when I start talking about this process, and I tell you that something matters, but that thing seems insignificant to you, and when you look around at your other sources of information, they don't seem to be placing much importance on that thing. If I were you, I would assume that the last symptom is right and everybody else is wrong. Because obviously, if I manage to authentically rid myself of the disorder, and I'm telling you that a thing matters, there's a reason why I'm telling you that. It's because it is necessary for authentic recovery. I wouldn't tell you it was if it wasn't. On the flip hand side, the opposite is also true. If I tell you that a thing is irrelevant, that thing is irrelevant to recovery. But your other sources of information are telling you that it's one of the most important things that you need to be focused on. I would trust me. There's a reason why I'm telling you it's irrelevant, and that's because it's irrelevant. I wouldn't be where I'm at otherwise. There are certainly voices on this subject that are much more famous than me, much more popular, much more well-known. But why isn't everybody cured? If the most popular, the most well-known, the most listened to, the most famous sources of information on these subjects know what they're talking about, why are there people walking around with borderline personality disorder in their adult years at all? It is for the very reason that they are not focused on the things that do matter. They're instead focused on things that don't matter. That is the reason why there aren't more people cured. And who is dispersing that information? The popular voices on this subject, the most famous, the most followed, the most listened to. They're telling you things that are not getting you anywhere, that are irrelevant. They're telling you things, they're telling you that the things they tell you are important or not, and the things that they tell you are not important are. That's why people aren't getting anywhere in greater numbers. The reality is, I'm sort of a rare case, and it ain't because I'm special or super smart. I'm not smarter than everybody else or anything like that. The reason why I'm a rare case is because I'm one of the few people who did completely rid himself of the disorder for real. And I didn't accomplish it by means of these other sources of information that many like to entertain.